In the past, visionaries helped to create state-funded and supported iconic industries such as ISCOR, FOSCOR, Sasol and Alusaf. These parastatals evolved into large billion-rand corporations, transforming the abundance of raw materials produced locally into useful products for domestic consumption and the export of surpluses. Some of these companies became world leaders in their field and proved that South Africa has the skills and resources to generate industries of global capacity. The IDC was instrumental in the establishment of almost all of these ventures. To discover and create a new industry requires vision, courage, a will to succeed, and a passion for the project. To additionally become a world leader in industry is no mean task. For a company that has the expertise, know-how, skills and talents to exploit locally sourced raw material to convert into saleable products presents a challenge to take up and succeed in. Such success breeds success, generating new downstream industries, creating much-needed employment, expanding skills and opportunities, touching the lives of many South Africans in the process. It is some time since an industry of global significance was created locally. Such an undertaking now presents itself, offering a very rare opportunity of establishing a zirconium-based core industry, employing indigenous raw material to unlock the value of zircon, which is otherwise exported with little value addition. It is considered appropriate to focus on the role that South Africa plays in the global zirconia market, and to contrast this with the role it could and should be playing. Almost half of the world's zircon is mined by Tronox and RBM from beach sand deposits in South Africa. The key raw materials for a zirconium chemicals plant are zircon, hydrochloric acid, and caustic soda. All these materials are produced locally. Why is the establishment of a zirconium industry so important, apart from the local availability of abundant raw material and the processing of low-grade, higher radioactivity zircon that cannot otherwise easily be exported? Although the zirconium chemical industry is relatively young, it is growing at 6 to 8% per annum. Zirconium chemicals and oxides are used in diversified applications and can already be found in more than 60 different industries. It is regarded to be an essential raw material and a strategic resource. Over the past decade, zirconium products have attracted special attention as high-technology materials for multi-industrial and scientific applications because of their superior mechanical, thermal, electrical, chemical, and optical properties. Zirconium products are applied, often without any alternatives, in the construction of chemical plants, in electronic devices, the medical industry, nuclear reactors, engineering ceramics and auto catalysts, as well as performance chemicals in the paper, paint, polymer, cosmetics, water treatment, and oil industries. Zirconium chemicals are regarded as green, replacing toxic components in many applications, such as lead in paint dryers, chrome in leather tanning, and formaldehyde resins in paper. The demand for zircon of 1.1 million tons per year exceeds the supply of only 1 million tons, a trend that would continue for the foreseeable future. Zircon is the primary feedstock for zirconium chemicals and oxides, which consume 18% of the zircon supply. Its beneficiation creates a significant value addition of between 3 and 10 times, depending on the product, which makes this a $2,000 million industry. It is predicted that there will be additional pressure on zircon supply, resulting in shortages due to the continuously growing Chinese economy. There will be an added demand on zirconium chemicals resulting from the expanding international nuclear programs for electricity generation and the increasing demand for green products. All of these factors underline the importance of the full-scale commercialization of zircon beneficiation in South Africa. Can South Africa, and specifically a homegrown company, create a niche market for the supply of zirconium compounds globally? Geratech has more than 13 years of experience with the beneficiation of the locally produced zircon into a number of zirconium chemicals. In 1998, Geratech was founded by Ignatius de Wet as a result of the R&D programs on zirconium beneficiation of the University of Pretoria and the South African Atomic Energy Corporation. Its origins thus reside within laboratory experimentation by dedicated entrepreneurs and subsequently successfully advancing to a pilot plant, exporting high-grade zirconium chemicals to markets abroad, in particular the United States and the European Union. In the progression, a very solid industry-specific knowledge base was acquired. Development of the business took place within the means to the company's disposal, which resulted in bootstrapping. Despite this piecemeal approach, Geratech's investments into R&D, piloting, and semi-commercial operations have mitigated commercialization risks and reduced the high entry barriers associated with zircon beneficiation. Pilot operations created a solid technical and commercial knowledge base on zirconium chemicals and oxides, a well-developed product range, a customer base, key process parameters, standard operating procedures, licenses and production permits, including nuclear permits. Local supply networks were developed for zircon and other raw materials, and the company was ISO 9001 certified. Also, Geratech is the only company in Africa to have successfully produced about 2,000 tons and a range of 12 different zirconium products on a demonstration plant scale. They have successfully marketed and obtained product approvals from various customers across a variety of industries globally. Their customers include market leaders such as ExxonMobil, BASF, Huntsman, and W.R. Grace.
To develop a zirconium beneficiation plant or industry, it has high entry barriers. And one of those entry barriers, over and above the capital that it requires to put together a plant like this, is of course the technology and the know-how and understanding from the product development right through to the point of actually selling the products, producing it. We have invested to date with our shareholders and support like institutions as the Technology Innovation Agency and in particularly the IDC. We've invested today 250 million rand into this project. And it was money well spent at taking the process and the products through the various stages of researching it, understanding how the products are applied, developing the recipes, piloting it. And we've produced more than 2,000 tons of product through our piloting facilities, and developed a very, very clear understanding of where these products are applied and what the process technology entails of getting products out. And if we compare to how it was developed in China, the Chinese industry also took 10-15 years with huge amounts of government support prior to them having that industry established. The difference is that our business is based on very solid fundamentals, being that we have access to local zircon and that we've actually studied the core technology of how to produce these zirconium chemicals.
To date, approximately 250 million rand has been invested in the company, the bulk of which was applied to the development of know-how and technology for the production of value-added zirconium products, thereby mitigating the risks associated with commercialization. It had become obvious that for Geratech to attain its true potential, a much broader perspective is required. A paradigm shift has to be made. The piecemeal approach has to be abandoned and resources focused on designing a modern, robust, and reliable full-service plant. Geratech is eminently suited to apply their knowledge and skills base to achieve this goal and unpack the opportunity. The IDC led shareholders to a decision to consolidate all completed work into a structured project for purposes of assessing the viability of large-scale commercialization, thus a bankable feasibility study. The R&D and pilot work to date were to serve as the basis for this. Following the successful completion of a bankable feasibility study in February 2013, it is evident that the commercialization of zirconium beneficiation on the proposed benchmarked scale is a viable proposition. The project outlook appears to be remarkable, and the commercialization risks sufficiently mitigated to ensure a robust project.
The path to South Africa's industrialization, perhaps in closure, should not be at the mercy, or it should not be held ransom to global players, to partners that we're looking out there. People have got their own priorities. First world countries are having their own problems. Europe has got their own problems. You know about that. You know the Euro crisis and all that. So we should be looking at our own country, our own region, or Africa for that matter, where we can do things on our own. Let's do that. And Geratech give us that challenge, or give us that opportunity to stand up like our forefathers of yesteryears who have given us the chemical industry in this country, in South Africa, that unfortunately now is only sitting in the hands of a few big companies, and we're saying, can Geratech create the zirconium industry and broaden the cake for the benefit of the country?
Bearing in mind that the underlying philosophy behind the project is the creation of an industry based on the beneficiation of the local mineral raw material, the equity IRR of 28.2% nominal is exceptional. A fully integrated plant processing 10,000 tons of zircon per annum requires peak funding of 991 million rand. Break-even volumes are reached at only 20% of capacity. The implication hereof is that operating cash flow is positive from a low capacity utilization. More than 300 direct jobs will be created, of which 88% will be recruited and trained from previously disadvantaged groups. Approximately 1,000 indirect jobs will also be generated. The impact on peripheral or downstream industries could be very significant, given the wide application of zirconium chemicals and the industry's growth. It is also envisaged that new technologies based on utilizing zirconium chemicals will be attracted to South Africa.
This project that we've been investigating for Geratech is exciting in a number of respects. Firstly, standalone arm's length, it's viable, the numbers are right, it is something that makes economic sense for anybody to invest in. Secondly, it is a project where we, for the first time in this area in South Africa, start beneficiating a raw material in any degree of volume, which raw material we've been exporting just about 100%. The country needs to create jobs through the beneficiation of our own resources. And what's happened in this case is that South Africa produces something like 40% of the world production. Between us and Australia, we produce 70 to 80% of the world production of zircon sand. Of this, China imports 700,000 tons, beneficiates, and exports. Now, this makes absolute sense for us, that we should be beneficiating in South Africa, going into the downstream use of those products, and then exporting that or creating further industries locally.
In conclusion, investment returns are exceptional. Cash flow is robust. All raw materials are available domestically, and the existing unique core skills base can be expanded by drawing from related industry expertise. The market requires an alternative supplier to China, and the geographic location to supply global markets is ideal. Additionally, the challenges associated with the designing, constructing, and commissioning of a new plant are well defined and recognized.
I, in my experience, have very seldom come across a project which is so good from the point of view of its economic viability as well as its development potential. And the question to me is not, should we be doing this? The question to me is there any possible logical reason why we are not doing this?
Opportunities to create whole industries of global significance based on the supply of domestic resources are indeed rare. This project provides just such an opportunity.